We'll just get started in a few minutes. Okay, welcome everyone. Let's begin. So today I wanted to make a video on beginners tips. I haven't made it for a while, and I saw someone on Reddit asking about beginners tips, and I went and looked at my old video. So first of all, I'll go and take a look at the old video. There's some tips in there. I'm probably going to miss some stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I want to cover, and by all means, feel free to ask questions. Let me know what you want to talk about, and we can cover those topics. I do have a list of topics that I'd like to try and cover in general. I'll just put here, let's ask specific questions. So if you guys got any questions about specific stuff, I'm not really into builds or things like that. We can certainly cover some of that. But just general gameplay, stuff that you want to know about, cooking, power armor, locations, about stuff, challenges, things like that. I cannot see any other questions. So just let me know if you want to cover a specific item and we can cover it. But I'd like to get through some topics. And like I said, watch my other video. I do cover some stuff that I probably won't cover in this video. I did listen to it again, and there's some really neat stuff that I did cover. But I'll try and cover most of the stuff. The stuff that I want to try, and we'll improvise as we go along, and nothing's in order. There's nothing specific in order I'm going to cover. So if we want to jump around, we can do that. But some of the items I'd like to cover today is stuff like the atomic shop, spending real money, doing challenges, earning atoms. I think that's a key thing that you guys should just know about right off the gate. The second thing I'll probably cover is the Santatrons, just because we're in the periods. Now I'm not talking about 5-star GTR. So just keep it specific to new players and the new game, if you don't mind. And the second thing I want to cover is the Santatron, just because the Christmas events are going on. So just for those guys that are joining the game brand new, get your Santatrons up and running as quick as you possibly can. Build a small camp and put a Santatron, lock it, so that you can get some Christmas gifts, right? And then the third thing I think that's important just to cover, and we'll get there, is to talk about water purifiers and stuff like that, cooking and stuff. But anyway, so the stuff I want to cover is atomic shop, challenges, workshops, cooking, camps, talking about health right away, plans, some of the perks around that, how to use those, how to get some plans, how to read those plans. Vendors, some vendors selling. I might not specifically get into those mechanics unless you want to. This is really a forum to just speak about brand new stuff. This isn't if you're a seasoned player. This isn't it's probably not something you're going to want to watch. This stuff you're going to all know is really for brand new players, right? We'll talk about the quest line. We'll talk about multiple characters and how they can help you with different things. Camps. I generally play with 2 Xboxes and 10 characters, and I'll speak about reasons why I do that. But if you have a friend, each of you can have sort of 5 camps and use them for farming specific items if you want to do minerals one day, and and food the next day on different characters. Also, it helps with the atom stuff, right? So anyway, just let me know what you want to speak about. So let's get started. We're at the vault. So I want to start off the vault because I think this is important. You guys go through the vault, make sure you collect stuff. There's a bunch of stuff, nothing super important that you could miss in the vault. There's not really stuff you can pick up. There are about five tables with some supplies that you go through and you pick up those supplies. So just make sure you follow the yellow markers out the gate. I think the game's pretty clear in telling you to pick up that, and I think the only thing it really forces you to pick up is the camp unit, so you can't actually exit the vault without the camp unit. So it might get a little confusing in the beginning, but hopefully you guys will be able to get all that stuff and make it out the vault. So we're at the top of the vault. I'm actually right on top of the vault looking down at it. Beautiful map, gorgeous game. As I said in my previous video, make sure you just take it all in. It's an amazing game with beautiful graphics. It's something to really enjoy and take in. So don't rush it and don't try and spread through the game and level up. You're going to miss half the game if you do that. But anyway, I won't get into it. I'll let you play however you guys want to play. Today we will just start off. So as you're coming out the vault, there are a couple of containers that you want to grab. So the first one is just kind of run down, just to kind of show you there's a vault front entrance. So we're just going to run down the steps on the left, and we'll come back down here. But there's a box here that I want to grab, and it doesn't really matter which direction you go, whether you go this direction or other direction. We're going to head back up in another direction in a sec. So there's a guy down here. Just kind of come down here. He's got a machete. He's got a bit of money. We're going to head down there in a bit, that direction. But I just wanted to grab that before another new player grabbed it and it was empty and we couldn't grab it. So grab that machete. There's actually some logs right over here, so you can actually grab some wood. You're going to need wood for all sorts of things, cooking, making boiled water. The whole wasteland is covered in wood logs, and you can just grab those. You just run past them, pick them up. And you just put your mouse or your pointer on there and you'll be able to collect wood. I'll talk about the woodchuck perk. I think it's an important perk. We'll cover that a bit later. The second body that you want to grab is this guy here. He has a gun and a 38-point round on him, so it gives you some weapons straight out the vault. So grab those when you come out the vault. And if you head down this direction, there's going to be a bunch of liberators, but they're pretty low level liberators. You can use them and kill them with your machete. It's also a good place when you are doing challenges to come down here. There's going to be some kill 10 robots. This is a good place to come back and just kill some liberators, or you're going to get a liberator event where you can just come back. Now always check containers. For instance, this bus is going to be some med kits. Again, I'll talk a little bit about that, and the farmer perk, which is a perk you should try and get as soon as possible and level it up to level 3 as soon as possible. Outside of that, collect all the junk you want. We're going to scrap it. Just remember to scrap your junk because it will weigh you down eventually. As a new player, it's not a big deal. But don't just deposit it into your stash box because it'll just fill up your stash box. So you want to scrap it before you put it in your stash box. So go ahead and scrap it and put it in your stash box, and then you can keep picking up more stuff if you get overweight. Again, there's a whole bunch of weight perks that you can use to reduce your weight, reduce weight of junk, reduce weight of ammo, reduce weight of weapons, things like that, depending what build you are. I do find a melee build is the best build to do initially at the gate, and then after that you can decide whether you want to become what type of build you will once you figure stuff out. Okay, so just because we're in this area, there is a bunch of containers. This container, yeah, typically has a plan in it. So once you get a plan, we'll find a plan at some box, I'm sure, during this this forum. But we'll pick up a plan. You want to make sure you read that plan because it just puts it under your notes section. And until you actually read it, let me see if I've got any plans I can read. So if you go to your Pit-Boy and you go over to notes, any plan you pick up is going to will be put in this tab, and you kind of want to go and you want to read it, because it weighs some weight, so it's going to weigh you down eventually, and B, you want to actually read it before you can use it. So if you don't read it, then you can't actually use it. So if we go ahead and just click on it, it's now said it's crafting item unlocked, so now you can actually go craft it in your camp, right? So as you can see, each one of these plans have a weight of 0.25, so if you have a whole whack of plans, it eventually will add up to your weight. So you can either decide to sell it, put it in your stash box, sell the plans. You can't sell them once you've read them unless you've got extra plans, and then you can sell all the extra plans, right? So I would go ahead and read them initially, and if you've got an extra one and you wanted to sell them, you can actually create a vendor store at your camp, and then you can actually sell that. You can sell the plan. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing, let's talk about the Atom Store quickly. So the Atom Store has some really nice, cool looking items that Bethesda want you to spend real money on. You can do that if you want. A lot of people do. They prefer that. They want to get these items as quick as possible. But you also don't need to, right? So I haven't spent a cent on the Atom Store myself. You can earn in-game currency. It takes a while. It takes a long time. You're not going to be able to buy everything. If you want to buy everything, you're going to have to spend real money. That's just the fact of life, right? Other than that, you can actually, stuff like, 500 atoms, you can buy this over time. A lot of them are limited time sales. All that means is they'll take it out the store. It's a way for Bethesda to force you, to make you think that you will lose out on that item. All these items will eventually be recycled. It really depends how long you want to wait for them. A specific event like Halloween and Christmas probably only come around during the Christmas event, so you have to wait a year if you miss out on it. So it's really up to you. I'm not a big fan of spending real money on cosmetics. A lot of people are. It's really up to you. It doesn't matter one way or the other. It depends. If you want to spend 20 bucks, go ahead and spend your 20 bucks on the game. Or if you don't want to really spend money on the game, you don't have to, and you could just buy them as they come around and when they go on sale. I typically like to buy stuff when they go on sale, because then you get, like this one, 40% off. Then you can actually, make your atoms stretch a lot longer than it needs to, right? Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing I want to cover quickly is challenges. First thing, you want to make sure you try and do your challenges, especially your daily and your weekly. So all the other challenges, character, survival, you can take your time and do them over time. Take a look through them. A lot of them will be done naturally. You'll level up and you'll get some atoms. You'll build something, or you build 10 of something, and you'll get it. You'll make a friend and you'll get some atoms. But your daily, you kind of want to try and do every day, and I'll show you me doing that a bit later. I'll see if I can remember to do that for you guys, and then we'll do a challenge. But your daily, pretty much try and do every day. I'm not big in doing certain events, like you only get 10 atoms, but a lot of people do events and you get them. So each one of them, you can see 10 atoms, 10 atoms, 10 atoms. And then the harder ones are the 20 atom ones, and these could be quite tedious to do. But some of them you just say, it takes too much time, it's not worth my while. Now, but Bethesda has released an update where they're going to try and make earning atoms a lot easier from January 1st, 2020. So hopefully in 2020 these will become more natural and we'll get atoms just by playing the game. They should have done this a long time ago, but at least they're making some progress ahead in doing that. But try to get your dailies done, because you have to do them by the end of the day. Watch out for your level ups. If you look at the level up, certain ones you have to be wearing certain clothes, a mask, using certain weapons, being in a group. All three of these have to be, if you want to do that level up and get that 10 atoms, you have to make sure you got all three checked at the same time. So for instance, in my case, I'm already above level 76, so that's for me by default. But for a lot of low levels, you'd have to have, like, wearing responder gear, wearing a fastnet mask. You can buy fastnet masks from vendors. They should be relatively cheap. There's also a free one in the game just above White Springs, very easy to get, so you can get that no problem straight off the bat if you want it. level up on Death Core Island. So you kind of have to keep an eye on your level ups, and if as soon as you close, I miss a lot of them, and this is kind of Bethesda's plan. They want you to miss out on these items so you spend real money. So, but if you pay attention to the stuff, you can actually get them. I've missed out on a lot of the level ups, but I've also got a lot of level ups just by, you know, paying attention. So make sure if you're naked, if you're in certain locations, if you're using like a sign. So I like to keep certain signs on me, like certain weapons on me, so when I get this challenge, I have it ready to go. So, okay, so make sure you do your weekly and your daily. Weekly, you've got the whole week to do. A daily, you've got to do it in the same day, right? Okay, so we've got the weapons. We've got a gun. In terms of guns, you're going to find guns and ammo all over the wasteland. You want to scrap those guns. You want to keep some of your favorites. Just keep like a couple of guns on you, or a couple of melee weapons on you, and then you can scrap the rest. When you scrap them at a workbench, and workbenches are typically all over, let's actually go ahead. Before we go ahead, just go down here. I think this is really the path that most new players will take initially, and come down this way. There's some wood down here. There's a health box down here, so you kind of want to get that. You're going to run into a couple more liberators and enemies. Not sure why I picked up a couple of these weapons. But that's okay. Actually, you know what? We'll come back down that way in a little bit. I'll show you where I want to go first, and the reason I want to do it because I am over encumbered at the moment, and I want to scrap some of those weapons, right? Okay, so there's a moonshiner shack just below the vault. Very useful. Has some food. Has some workbenches. Has ticks. Tick blood's very important if you want to make stim packs eventually. And blood packs, they'll give you health as well. The nice thing about blood or tick blood is it will last. It won't actually go stale and spoil. A lot of food will spoil even though you have the perk. And we'll talk about the perks that actually preserve some food for a little bit, and you may decide you want to use that. So this is a good place for farming ticks. Every time you server hop, you'll get a new set of ticks. So you can literally server hop. Server hopping isn't cheating. It's just part of the game. It's how the game was designed. It kind of seems like it's cheating, but it's really not. Let's see, I think there was a third tick here. There we go. Okay, so let's talk while we're getting tick blood. Let's talk about perks a little bit, and I'll jump and forth back in perks a lot. One of the perks you want to eventually get, let's get rid of the picklocks here, is Butcher's Bounty. Butcher's Bounty allows us to search dead bodies for extra meat, extra food. So you kind of want to get at least a level 1. I normally run around with level 2 or level 1. The other perk you kind of want to get as quick as possible is the Farmer perk, which is this guy over here. Farmer will allow you to search med boxes for extra meds. Very important early on in the game because you go through stim pack quite quickly. It's easy to waste stim packs by hitting kind of your D-pad and losing them. So once you have Farmer, this is one of the first perks I would probably get, and then focus on some of the other perks that you need. Okay, so I've just loaded Butcher's Bounty, and as you can see, before I wasn't able to search the body. I can now search the body. Again, this is important for the Farmer perk. It's just quick. You may come past and just loot the body and you don't notice the search on the screen. You want to hit Y on Xbox or whatever your appropriate key on PC and PS4 is, and you want to search because then you will be able to get extra food and specifically in this case, extra blood. Okay, so this is an area where you have some workbenches. This used to be a chem station, and they replaced it with a brewing station. I'm not sure if that's more useful or less useful. I think for me it would be less useful, but maybe there's a reason behind that. Obviously pick up stuff. If you pick them up, try to avoid picking up gunpowder unless you're making bullets. It will weigh you down. Once you get sort of, in the 400 range of gunpowder, it doesn't look heavy if you click on it and look at it. It doesn't look heavy, but it does certainly add up over time. So yeah, we have a chem box, and as you can see, there's no search on it. I can just grab your Menstat disease cure, great, but you're actually missing out on quite a lot. Now, the problem is once you get to a high level like me, switching out your perk becomes tedious, so I don't bother half the time. But as a new player, you should get Farmer and just have it loaded all the time until you decide. In this case, it doesn't allow me to. Let me just make sure I did load it. No, I clicked. I put bloody mess on. I took it off and I put it back on. So let's go ahead and load Farmer, and you'll notice now we should be able to search that box, and we might get some chems. You won't get chems all the time, but most of the time, so 80% of the time, you'll find something in there, right? So you don't want to miss out on those important chems. They are quite important. There are mods around the game. Initially, if you want to collect some mods, they're going to be mods for your guns, your armor, things like that. They do weigh a pound, so if you collect every single mod, you'll find that you're going to be eventually weighed down. At some point, you want to sell them and stop picking them up. This is a good place for just a little bit of acid. You need acid to actually do some. We'll talk about a little bit that when you go to a chemistry station, and you want to actually. Okay, some food. Normally this table's full of stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about the chem station. Normally this table's full of other stuff you can collect here. There's definitely food you can collect. But it has some other useful items, some books, some recipes and things. So do come back here and check back. There's a little tato plant here. If you're looking for additional taters, you need to pick up food to plant at your camp. And then once you come to your camp, once you have some food, you can actually plant, but you got to find them first. Most people, you can either buy food at vendors, you can find them in the wild. There's a whole bunch of locations we can talk about to actually find that food. Or you just go to people's camps and you can pick food for free and then go back to your camp and actually plant them, right? So, okay, so that's one location. I just want to talk a little bit about scrapping. You're going to find these workbenches all over. Each bench is going to have a specific purpose. You can build ammo at one bench. You can build armor at the armor bench, make guns, all that stuff. Each bench you can build in your camp, or if you put a camp near a location that has these, then you don't have to waste your camp budget to actually build that stuff, right? So in this case, we want to actually scrap stuff. So you're going to find these benches. They're going to be very useful if you're over encumbered, or you just want to, stuff weighs quite a lot. So if we go to, just take a quick look at our weapons that we picked up. We picked up a machete. So at the bottom here, the weight is 0.80, which isn't terrible. Depending on what perks you have, I might have a perk loaded that reduces some of the weight. But when you get into like the bigger guns, this is like 7.7 pounds. So you're gonna run out of your carry weight quite quickly. In this case, my max carry weight, because I'm wearing the excavator power armor, is 475. As you're at the gate, you're probably going to start off with like 150, so you're going to hit that pretty quick. So we want to go ahead and scrap that. You're going to get some useful scraps like steel and wood in this case. There is a perk to give you some additional stuff like plastic in some cases. So if you want to, there's something called a scrapper perk, so you want that. You want to load these perks before you start scrapping, because it'll give you some additional resources that you can use at your camps or to make armor or weapons or whatever, right? So let's go ahead and scrap that. Now you can see to my left bottom corner, I have 469 out of 475. I'm also hitting challenges here, so make sure you're looking at those challenges so you can in this case, I had to collect 100 guns or 100 pieces of clothing to scrap. It does take a while in this case, so you want to keep an eye out for those challenges, right? So, but the important thing here is now I'm kind of underweight, right? So I do carry a lot of stuff on me. If you want to run around without power armor, you either need to be a Fallout First member where you can stash a lot of junk, or if you don't want to pay for Fallout First, then you want to limit what you do collect. But again, as a new player, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's going to take you a while. Just make sure you scrap stuff before you put it in your stash box. And there's also the Tinker bench where you actually bulk items. When you start bulking stuff, you can either sell it to vendors. Vendors typically only sell buy bulk stuff, but they don't only buy bulk stuff. There's certain things that can't be bulked. I think stuff like screws, for instance, can't be bulked. So you kind of want to you can sell those directly to the vendor without having to bulk them. But a lot of other stuff the vendor won't actually buy until you bulk it. And bulking really just think about a bundle. They put it in a bundle for you. It's nicely packed. It's just the concept-wise. You go to a store, you sell something in a box versus selling in pieces, right? So then you buy stuff in bulk, right? So scrap it. Also, if you're bulking stuff, you will save weight on your inventory and your stash. So there's a little bit of weight. It's not huge. There's kind of a debate whether you actually save anything, but I'm pretty sure you do save some stuff. Some weight by bulking and putting it back in. Just remember, when you bulk, it puts it in your body inventory, not in your stash. So just be aware of that. You might go bulk a whole bunch of stuff and think it's in your stash, and then you get killed and you drop it and you've lost all your bulk, right? So make sure that if you're bulking stuff, you sell it to a vendor straight away, or you make sure you go put it back in your stash. Okay, so there's wood around. Like I said, you're going to find these wood piles at houses. There's a couple of places to get wood. Let's cover that quickly. I said already, you're running through the forest, you can collect wood pretty much everywhere. But once you start getting into cooking and building stuff, doing challenges, it goes through quite a lot of wood. If you're making 10 alcohol to do the alcohol challenge, then you'll find that, to make purified water, to make soup, all of those, like if you're making beer, for instance, it takes wood to make beer, it takes boiled water to make beer, but to make boiled water you need wood. So you're at your stove trying to make boiled water, so you're using wood. So you'll find you go through that relatively quickly. The one perk that I highly recommend, and I pretty much carry it on me all the time now, is the woodchuck perk. It should be able to get it relatively quickly in the game. So look at now. Some of these perks, just to talk about perks a little bit, are leveled, meaning you can't use them until a certain level. If we look at super duper perk, I believe it's a level 50. They may have reduced that requirement. Some of them will be kind of higher perks, I believe. I think like starched jeans, for instance. Let's take a look here. It doesn't actually say, but I know for a fact, I think you'd have to look at it if somebody's sharing to actually see what level requirement there are. There are websites out there that will tell you what the perk levels are, and you can go look at those. But some perks you won't be able to get until you're a certain level. And even if you get them, then you might not be able to use them, right? But start changes are late in the game. It's more the end game kind of thing. You'll get them at level 30, I think. And you want to get 2 of those will keep your mutations. Super duper, I thought was a level 50. I'm not sure it still is, but you'll have to look at that. But woodchuck is one of those ones you want to get right in the beginning of the game if you can. Good with salt, preserves food. So again, that's another good one to get at the beginning of the game if you can. True Hike is a great one for reducing food weight. So you kind of want to get that as well. It'll reduce the weight if you want to carry a lot of food on you. So definitely I recommend that. You'll find as soon as you're running out of weight, those are definitely perks that you want to get. I'd highly recommend True Hiker. You want to start building up and getting strong back. So those will help you reduce weight. Just be careful. There's kind of 2 perks here. There's strong back, and there's one that reduces junk, which is pack rat. So I don't find pack rat useful at all. So avoid, you might thinking that's the same as strong back, but it's actually not. So I would not recommend pack rat. I would get strong back. I would get traveling pharmacy. This will reduce, especially if you're carrying a lot of chems on you. Get traveling pharmacy. That's useful. And then you can work on some of your other cards, like martial artists, depending if you're a melee build or a gun build, depending on what you want to get. But take a look at some of those. So the ones I'd recommend at the gate is get your farmer perk up to level 3 ASAP, because that's going to allow you to search boxes, chems boxes. You want to get your cap collector. This will, if you get a level 3 cap collector, it'll allow you to guaranteed, if you've got a level 3, you're guaranteed to be able to search a box and find caps, right? So caps are generally easy to find in the game. But you know, sometimes you want to try and get additional caps. Sometimes you run a box, run along a container, and it'll give you 50 to 100 caps, right? So you'd be silly not to take those, right? So, and you don't have to have these loaded all the time. I know it's tedious to load some of them stuff, and some of them will be hard to get in the beginning anyway, right? So cap collector for one, woodchuck for sure. You want to get farmer, true hiker. The first aid stuff's pretty useful as well. This will allow you to extend the life of your stim packs, make them give you more health and stuff like that. Just one note on that: in order to conserve some stim packs, if you sleep on a mattress or a sleeping bag, especially initially in the game, find a bed. You'll be able to heal up your health, so you don't have to waste a stim pack to get healthy again. If you drink purified water, that'll also heal up your health. Most vendors leave some unlocked purifiers. You can really get water free in the game, and of course you can get boiled water. You can make boiled water, and boiled water will heal up your health. Dirty water will not. So dirty water will not heal your health. I think it'll quench your thirst, but it'll give you rads, and then you'd have to get rid of those rads as well, right? So yeah, let me just put back farmer. So the second one here is the pharmacist perk. This will remove 30% of your radiation when you use a red away. So your red away will last longer. Red away gets rid of rads, and then your stim packs will heal your health type thing, right? And then these green thumbs useful to get. It'll double up on your veggies. So when every plant you pick, you'll get 2 plants. Fortune Finder will allow you to find, it'll actually make a noise as if you're near a stash box. It'll tell you there's a stash box nearby. The Pana Pictographist will tell you when there's a magazine nearby. Not as useful, but if you wanted to have a bookcase in your camp, which you can now, it was a recent addition. You want to find some magazines, it makes your camp look really cool. And then the bobblehead thing tells you when there's a bobblehead nearby. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. Like I said, I was talking about the woodchuck perk, grab ahead. So if we gather some wood, you can see I managed to get 12 wood scraps. You won't get 12 each time. Sometimes you'll get 4, sometimes you get 12. Without the woodchuck, you'll then probably get maybe 1, 2, 4, kind of the low end amount. But you kind of want to go ahead and collect wood, right? There's a mattress down here. There's containers. You can just take all the junk here, and there's also a med box up here as well. Just over there. So for those new players, I've got stim packs right there. And if I search it, I got some Red X. Now you get Red X, and these chems you can sell. They sell quite decently at vendors and things. You can sell them to either other people. Obviously, the more you sell to people, the more money you're going to make, or you can sell them directly to vendors at train stations. So there is, just to talk about vendors a little bit. As you go across, you're not going to be able to see the train stations, but if you walk, one of the things I recommend you do is at least walk along the rail tracks, and then you'll be able to unlock some of these. If you go into a train station, there is a map on the wall. On the map, you'll see some colored dots. When we get to a train station, I'll try and remember to point that out to you. If you click on those dots, it'll actually unmark them. It'll put these white markers. You haven't unlocked them yet, but it'll actually show you where the train stations are. And each train station has a vendor. Some stations have additional vendors, like vendor bots, for instance, will be down at this guy. You'll find at the Charleston station, there's a vendor bot that shows up there. You also find vendors like Graham and some other vendor bots walking around. So Graham walks all around the map. He's pretty hard to find, but you do see him. He shows up at workshops and stuff. And then the other vendor bot hangs around Morgantown. Again, he walks all around, and you're going to find them all over the map. But I've seen probably the most location. I've actually seen him there, right? Just to backtrack to the wood stuff. The best, like I said, you can get wood all over the map. But the best locations to get a lot of wood in one location is up at Fort Prickett, which is right here at the top corner of the map. It has a lot of wood. You can probably get easy 100 pieces to 300 pieces just in one location. So if you make it up there, do make it up there. That's a good location for wood. If you don't want to go running around collecting wood and you need a whole bunch quickly. That's one location, get a lot of wood really quickly. The second location that I use quite often is a logging camp, which is right over, it's not actually on my map. It's right over here. There's a logging camp. I haven't unlocked, surprisingly. I'll see if I can unlock it later. I'm pretty sure. I think with my other character I have it unlocked. And when I'll do the challenge, I'll show you where that is. I'll try to remember that. But it's right over there. And then the third location is down by Helvetia, which is down here. It has quite a bit of wood down there. It's in one location. It has a bunch of stuff in houses. But there's a lot of scorch there as well. So anyway, those are 3 locations for them. All these green things or icons on the map tell you that it's people's camps and they're vendors and they're selling stuff. So when you get into vendoring, you can build a vendoring machine in your camp and start selling items and making some additional caps. You can do that. Also, you can, if you power up your vendor machine, if you want to remain hidden on the map, you don't power your vendor machine, then you will be hidden and anonymous on the map and people will have to run across your camp to find it. Otherwise, if you actually want to see people and want them to visit your camp, then you actually have to power up only one vendoring machine. You can build more than one vendoring machine, but you only have to power up one of them to let yourself show up on the map. You don't actually have to power vending machines for them to work. You can just leave them unpowered and people can use them anyway. But if you want that green icon to show up and tell people you're here, then you want to power up one and then you can actually power it up. Okay, so that's one of the things. So we covered Atomic Shop. We covered the challenges, daily, weekly. Let's do a little bit of talking about cooking, I guess. In order to remain healthy, you need to cook some food. There are these camps all over the ground. You can build them in your camp. You'll find them at people's camps as well. You can use them. But you can craft all sorts of food. Some are health boosters, strength boosters, all that sort of stuff. In order to avoid rads, you want to actually eat cooked food. If you eat raw food, you can get rads. You do find antibiotics and disease cures. If you eat initially in the game, you can just find those and eat them. But in order to remain healthy, you want to actually at least drink boiled water or purified water. But yeah, you just go down here and you'll see each one is a recipe. So now I have a whole bunch of recipes. So you're going to find recipes all over the wasteland. You're going to start off with a few important ones, and you're going to be able to do stuff like boiled water out of the gate. Certainly make boiled water. Just walk up to a lake or a water source or a faucet somewhere, and you can collect some water, and then you create boiled water. As you can see, to create boiled water, you need some dirty water on the right and some wood. So you definitely want to have wood on you all the time, and then you can create that. To get purified water, like I said, just go to people's camps. Most people leave their water purifiers unlocked, just as part of the community. They help people out. You can go grab them. For those that don't want you to take their purified water, they'll lock their water purifiers. So the unlocked ones, people, because they regenerate, the water regenerates quite regularly. People don't mind you taking them. I leave mine all unlocked because I'm hardly at my camps, and then it's just kind of a waste. And if people need water, they can grab them, right? But purified water is made through water purifiers, and you get the plans by going to various locations as part of your quest. But yeah, create boiled water there for food. You can cook food, so as you find and kill things, you can come back here, you can cook stuff. For bloat meat, in this case, you'll find some bloat meat and you need some wood to cook it, right? Some things will need some more. In this case, it needs brain fungus, wood, and boiled water. So you could go through your boiled water quite quickly. But yeah, each one of these different types of food, if you look on the left on the stats, it'll tell you, how many rads you'll get, the HP, the energy resistance. So certain foods and certain things will give you some boosters. So you kind of want to keep an eye on those. Like if you go down to, for instance, scorched mixed meats, you can see the HP it gives you. So it's stuff like death for meat, things like that, will give you some additional boosters because they're high level animals, so they give you stronger stronger boosters, right? Okay, so healing, you can make certain things. Again, you're going to need to find plans. The disease cures you can find at various locations. You can run along plans. Just make sure you read them. Utility, you can make vegetable starch. This gives you adhesive, so you can repair your weapons and armor, stuff like that. Water filter, I've never really made this myself. You don't really need this at all. I don't know if anyone... Dogwood, I think, is kind of hard to get. I'm sure there's probably a location. I think it's in Toxic Valley. It's probably one of the locations, but you're better off just getting a water purifier, building at your camp and collecting water or going around. You don't really need to do that. There, so I don't think there's too much. Just go through that. If you have any specific questions around that, let me know. Let me talk about the water purifiers, because I think that's important to build your camp and your water purifier quite quickly, and that way it'll allow you to start making purified water at your camp straight away. So once you've decided on location, like I said, there's so many locations. I suggest building your camp at either a water source or a mineral deposit. There's mineral deposits all over, but before I lose track of that thought, so there's two places to get water purified plants. One's at Camp McClintock. There's a box as part of your quest line. If you follow the quest line, you're gonna go to these locations anyway. One of the first things I suggest you do there is a mission at Camp McClintock. There's to go through your military training. I would suggest getting that done as quick as possible. In the beginning of the game, follow your quest line and you'll get there fairly quickly, but when you get there, make sure you do it. I left mine for some of my other characters later on in the game, like level 100 plus, and then the actual challenges become a lot harder. The higher you level up, the shorter the time to do some of these challenges, so it's so much easier to do it when you are a low level to hit that one. That's the only one I'd probably recommend you do. There are about 4 missions. You need to complete all 4 missions to complete the actual quest. If you leave halfway and you do 2 of them and you come back later on the next day, you will have to restart those 4 missions from the beginning. So if you do start that mission, complete all 4 straight away. Make sure you get to the end. You have to go and get some clothes and stuff around the camp, but do complete it straight away, otherwise you'll need to restart that mission. So it's not that your game's losing progress, it's just the way that mission works. There's a couple of missions like that. That's one of them. I think there's only 2 or 3 where you actually have to complete the mission for, otherwise you will have to restart it, right? In terms of camps, let's talk about the map. The map's pretty big. There's high level and low level areas. The middle of the map, which is kind of this section, the west side of the map, all of this is low level area. You're pretty safe to walk around this as a low level. When you get up in Toxic Valley, it gets a bit higher. Not too bad though, Toxic Valley. But when you get to the east side of the map or the right side of the map, this is where the high level is. You could get yourself into trouble, but again, not a big deal. If you do get yourself into trouble, you can always get somebody to come rescue you. You might go, like for instance, if you went to Watoga, right in the middle of Watoga, which I see a lot of low levels do. There are some high level animals there, and you might just get repeatedly killed. And because if there's a high level player in that area, there'll be all high level enemies. If you're the only player in that area, then they'll be relatively low level, but because this is a frequent high level area, you'll always probably find high level enemies in that area. And the bog is sort of high level area. The mire is also a high level area, so you've got the mire here, you've got Savage Divide, which is this area, again, for quite high level area enemies. White Springs is a real pain for low levels. A lot of people come into White Springs from this area. There's a parking lot at the back, and they get trashed. But don't be scared of White Springs. You can actually get in alive, and you can sneak through the mountains. Just don't come in from the left side. Come around to the back, unlock the train station so you have it as an unlockable spawn point. And if you cross the road here, and just kind of nip into the White Springs, I actually have a video on that, how to get in without getting killed. You kind of cross the road, you enter this gate. There are some guards there. Sometimes you'll find some high level enemies, but most times you can just sneak in and into the vendors. There's a whole bunch of vendors in White Springs. that you want to get access to, sells plans, all sorts of clothes and outfits and things. So it's kind of a nice place to go shopping, but it is, if you do come through in the parking lot, expect to get trashed because it's high level enemies will be all the way down there. You'll never make it to the actual doors if you're low level unless you're prepared. The White Spring Golf Course, a lot of people farm that area, a little bit less so nowadays. But high level enemies, there's like probably 20 to 30 ghouls, wendigos, and things like that will be all over you at the same time. You have to really watch yourself, otherwise you'll get trashed there, right? So keep an eye out for that. Try and get everything unlocked. Like I said, let's talk a little bit about the quest line. There's a couple of if you look at data, under your data, you'll see there's main, side, daily, and events. So I would focus on the mains. Don't worry so much about the side things. Don't get distracted. You don't have to do the side unless you want to. If you're bored with the main, forget about the side initially. There's some dailies you can do, which is kind of neat. But focus on your main quest line. Go through these. The important reason why you want to do that is you get some important plans. You get the diluted Radaway plan, the diluted Stimpak plan, things like that. Those are very useful plans to have in the beginning of the game, so you can actually dilute your Stimpak so they last longer. And only way to get those is to actually do some of the earlier quests. Now you only have to, the quests I find are super boring. I don't think I've done them all. I got too tedious. But you do want to do the first 10, 15, 20 quests because you get some very important plans like the water purifiers, the Stimpaks, the Radaway, some of those things that you want to get so you can actually A, craft the stuff and make them for yourself, and B, you want to be able to do some of the challenges. You'll be a challenge, create some health items, and one of those health items is creating Stimpaks. So you want to get that so you can get those free items. Otherwise, you'll miss out on some important items that you might want to do, right? Just like I said, the other thing I want to do, there's so many places to build your camp. I would initially, you can see a whole lot of people building camps along the water. Yeah, A, it's a low-level area. B, it's a well-traveled area. So people, if you are doing rendering, people will show up at your camp because they go from Flatwoods all the way up to Morgantown. There's a lot of traffic there, so that's why people actually build there. Some people build around the vault, so you can actually go there as well. So yeah, so go look at this area. There's a whole bunch of mineral deposits. So I would either, like I said, build on the water so you can make purified water, or I'd build at a mineral deposit. So one or the other. It'll be kind of a waste. There are so many beautiful places to build at. You may not want either because you want the view or whatever. You want the view of the lighthouse or something, right? So yeah, so there's that reasoning. But I do suggest build it so you can collect water and you can sell the water or use the water yourself, or a mineral deposit. Again, you can collect resources and sell those or use those resources yourself. Just quickly, there is if you're on part of the Fallout 76 Reddit, they have this, some guy made this map early on in the game. He basically pointed out all the mineral deposits on the map. As you can see, he's actually color-coded them. Very easy to see. So if you're looking for a certain type of mineral deposit like aluminum or acid, you can see in the mountains, yeah, you've got some oil probably. I think that bottom one's oil. So I think that one's oil. There's acid there. That looks like an iron deposit. So if you want to build up there. Lead's a very popular place for people to build because they're making ammo, so they're farming ammo all the time. So yeah, so as you can see, they spotted all over the map. It doesn't matter what location you want to build in. You're going to find a mineral deposit somewhere. You're going to probably find water somewhere in these locations. I have, like I said, I have 10 characters, and I build all my camps in strategic locations so I can fast travel. So don't build it near the vaults because the vaults are free travel points. So if you build in this area, unless you're doing rendering or something like that, you're going to lose out on the travel points. So you want to be able to travel for free and putting your camp somewhere else across the map. Even down in Flatwoods, you can travel back and forth for Flatwoods for free. Your friends who are part of your team can travel for free. So put it in a strategic location, farm water or minerals, and then I'll allow you to save some caps and sell some stuff to rendering, right? So Lots of places to build at. A lot of people build along the water. Yeah, you can't build past the river. This is all area that's out of bounds. But anywhere on the map, you can pretty much build. Some areas where, like I said, have a lot of enemies will take your camp, so you'll get tired of that. Other places will have low-level enemies. Like you know, if you have, you'll still get enemies in the low-level area. You'll get some low-level ones. Just build some turrets, and then you can take care of those enemies, right? Okay, so that's workshop, that's cooking and wood I covered. Workshops are basically temporary camps, if you will. So your camp is permanent, meaning when you log in, your camp will come back and it will be put back in place. If be careful not to move your camp by accident. It's very easy. You build a beautiful camp and then you move it by accident. If you move your camp, it's very difficult to replace that same camp because the terrain is different. Even if you're trying to do it in the same spot, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. It's a 50-50. Try not to move your camp. It's very easy. The first thing you want to do is, if you go to the map, it's very easy. Not your map, your boy. Very easy to hit your, in my case on the Xbox One, LB button. And then guess what? If I click A, I've lost my camp and I've destroyed my camp. So you kind of want to make sure you don't hit B, or if you do hit B, just be aware of that. Be careful. Don't click, 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 and suddenly I've lost some really beautiful camps because of that. Easy mistake to make. Be careful when you move. Also, with moving camps, initially it's the distance. If it's a short distance, it's not as many caps. It'll be 5 caps. If you're moving across a map, they charge you some horrendous amount of caps. And the more you move it, the caps go up. So if you move it, sometimes you find a spot and it's not quite correct, so you want to move it like 2 feet, they charge you another 20, 30, 40, 50 caps, depending on how many times you moved it. The more you move it, the more frequent you move it, the more caps you charge. So I think it's per day limit. So if you move it a couple of times, not a big deal. If you want to save some caps, try the next day. But yeah, expect to pay a lot of caps in the game to move stuff around. The camp is meant to be moved around, but a lot of people pick permanent homes and then they just fast travel to those homes. And with Fallout First, of course, you have a tent now, so you can have a camp and a tent. So you don't need to move your camp at all, to be honest, right? So most people don't. Most people have a permanent home, right? Workshops, like I said, are temporary locations. There's one right over there. So you take over a workshop and you can mine some resources. In this case, if you look at this one, you can do food, junk, concrete, wood, titanium, water. So all that really means is you can build one junk deposit at this location and build one concrete resource, one titanium resource for black titanium, and one wood resource. And you can... and I think that the food and the water is the rate the water regenerates. So it regenerates much faster in a camp than it does, in a workshop than it does in a camp. So it just allows you to regen water. If you want to collect water, you want a whole bunch of purified water, go take a workshop. Remember, workshops are PvP, so anyone can come there and shoot you and kill you and take your workshop from you. So as soon as you in a PvP zone, even though you haven't started a workshop or taken it over, if you're sitting in this green zone around the workshop and somebody comes and contests that workshop, they can kill you straight away. So be aware of that. So stay out of the green zone or stay away from the workshop. You'll get used to where the zones are. Like you just stay out the borders. There's a small zone around the area. So in this case, just anywhere around this immediate area, not too high. You can be on the road, yeah, and you're fine. But anywhere inside, we all contest it. As soon as they kill you, you drop your junk, and they can steal your junk. So people just do it for kicks. Some people won't take your junk. Most people will probably take your junk. They'll try and kill you. A lot of people are bored with the game now. They're high level, so they want to steal your junk and just annoy you and collect caps. Every time they kill you, they'll take some of your caps. And your caps, I think it's limited to, I don't know what it is nowadays, but I think it's 20 or 50 or something, depending on your level. So generally, if you're level 5, you can't start PvP with you if you're under level 5, I think. After you're level 5, that's when they can start with PvP with you, which isn't hard to get to level 5, so you'll be in that area pretty quick, leveling up. But yeah, I think it'll drop, like if you level, let's say you level 7, it'll drop 7 caps. And there's a maximum limit. I think once you're over 50, level 50, then you'd only be able to take, I don't know what that number is anymore. I know that they've lowered it, so it might only be like 20 or 25 caps. I forget. But just be aware of that. So workshops are temporary. When you log off the server, the workshop will disappear or become abandoned, and somebody else can take it over. It won't be there when you come back. It's really, you come in, you take a workshop, you build it, you get resources for that session, and then you take resources, and when you leave, it goes away and somebody else can take it. So it's temporary, whereas your camp is permanent when you log in. Now your camp isn't online all the time. It's not there growing and mining resources when you're offline. It only works when you're online. So just kind of be aware of that as well, right? Okay, so there are some challenges for workshops. Take a workshop every day. So some of them you just want to take a workshop, pay the 25 caps typically. The more stuff built up at a workshop, the more you can pay for it. So if somebody's gone there and built houses and crafting stations and things like that, you'll pay more for their workshop. Typically, if there's nothing built, you only pay 25. You just need to kill the enemies in the area. Some of the enemies are bugged and spawn in the ground, but most workshops you can take over. But depending on servers, you may need to jump server, grab another workshop in the same location. Just get used to server hopping. It's part of the game. It's just how it works and how it was designed, badly or not. That's just how it works. So I call it, you know, most obviously people call it Fallout 76. I call it server hop 76 because that's what you do. You server hop all the time, right? Okay, so that's workshops. Stim packs right away. If you go to your, there's a level 2 there. So if you go to your stat menu, you'll notice at the bottom, just like Fallout 4, if you guys played Fallout 4, you can have a full right away. This will use a full right away if you go from the stat menu. Otherwise, if you have them either in your aids tab, and you have diluted stim packs, and you'll find diluted stim packs on dead bodies and scorch and that. You can then use the diluted one, so it doesn't use as many and it'll last a little bit longer. It's not as strong as a full right away, but you won't go through it. And in order to create diluted stim packs, you need a full pack. So try avoid using the full ones unless you really need it. If your health is really low, then use that. You will pick up antibiotics and disease cures that'll heal your health. If you look at your stat menu, it'll tell you when you're sick, you're starving in this case, like me, or you have diseases, you can cure those. In my case, I'm starving. On your favorites menu, you can just put some water there and some food, and that way you can just eat. I generally eat spoiled food just because it's easier to do. A lot of people play the game properly. I suggest you guys play the game properly initially, and you can decide what you want to do. But I would recommend cooking all your food, eating them just like you would in Fallout 4. In terms of the favorite menu, if you go to an item, you can hit your right bumper on the Xbox One or the appropriate key on PC and PS4, and it'll put you on a favorite menu. In this case, if we put antibiotics, and then we hit the up D-pad, you'll now see that I have antibiotics on my favorite menu. To uncheck that same way, you can just right click and it'll take it off your favorite menu there, right? So up on the D-pad will give you your favorite menu for weapons and health and clothes or whatever you want. Down will do the icons. So if people are annoying you, you tell them no. If they're trying to kill you, you tell them no. If they give you something, you can give them a heart. In certain let me see if I got any extra icons. Yeah, I thought I did. So if you click on certain icons, if you go by a whole bunch of icons, if you hit the right D-pad, it'll allow you to expand the icon menu, and you can choose different types of icons that will just expand, and you can pick one, right? So, and you can just give them kind of a thumbs up, or you know, you're upset with them, and you know, you can do that. It's kind of fun, right? Okay, so that's workshops and camps. To place a camp, I won't get into it because I want to move my camp as such, but all you need to do in order to place a camp is go to your Pip-Boy, And then you got albeit move. It'll tell you how many caps to move a camp. In this case, we 40 caps. If I wanted to move it, in your case, if you haven't deployed a camp, you can put a camp down anywhere. And then when you want to move it, you have to pay to move it. So that first time. So pick an area. You can just build a camp anywhere you want. Initially, it won't really cost you a lot of caps. There's a lot of caps in the game that you can find on dead bodies as you kill. So you won't be starving for caps, but you probably don't want to do it as often as you know, moving it irregularly. But otherwise, you might run low on caps initially in the beginning of the game, right? So I would recommend put a camp down, put a water purifier down, put a mattress down, because that'll heal your health. You can save on stim packs. Pick an area that's local, away from the vault. You know, down in this location, Flatwoods, which is your main area to start quests. We'll start down in Flatwoods. So again, start that main quest line. Go through the beginning patch, the beginning quests, get your stuff. So you will eventually do a whole bunch of quests in this area. It'll send you all over to collect stuff. Eventually, you'll get to a point where you're still a low level, and it's going to start sending you into higher level areas, and you can decide whether either to stop the quest line and just level up a little bit until you're stronger, or to continue with the quest line, or maybe go get some friends to help you out with the quests, right? So, okay, so there's that. I already covered farmer perk. Make sure you level that up. Make sure you search the med boxes. Don't just empty them. Make sure you hit the Y button or whatever your keys. So you search and so you get the extra additional chems. Scrapping, I covered a bit with the scrapping. There's scrapping stations all over. You can build scrapping places. And let's head over to one of my camps down here. This is my second character's camp, right down by Camden Park. Good area to level up, Camden Park. There are some low level areas, low level enemies, but they're fairly high level. So you probably want to be at least a 10 before you hit Camden Park. But good place to level up. I level up most of my characters at Camden Park, but there's low level Scorch, depending on how quick you want to level up. But there's enemies here from level 23. I don't think it really gets more than level 30. It depends if there's a high level in the area, but I think it's 23 and low typically, which isn't that bad because they Scorch. They're fairly easy to kill with a machete or something. But anyway, this is one of my camps. I'm collecting water here. I'm growing some food. Camden Park's just below me. Some other nice areas to level up. There's a bunch of Scorch at Lewis and Sons, low level Scorch in that area. There's low level Scorch at Wixton. So these are some good areas to low level. So anywhere on the west side of the map, pretty much you're going to find low level enemies. They're going to all help you level up. Anything you do, quests, killing enemies, collecting stuff, doing your things, your challenge and stuff will help you level up. So make sure you do those, they'll help you level up. And then if you want to hit some high level areas, it'll help you level up quicker, right? Anyway, this is one of my camps here. As you can see, I've got a whole bunch of crops. Like I said, you can get some corn. Razor grain and corn are probably your main ones you want to get because you're going to be able to make beer. The more you can build, like some of my characters, I just have farms where I just farm razor grain and corn for the challenges. Other ones you might also want to farm water, or you just want to farm a certain mineral. You do have 5 characters that you can build. I would suggest creating all 5 off the bat. Each one of them rely on you to, I think, go exit the vault. So I would also, when you're creating characters, make sure you give them different names. One of the mistakes people make, I think, I'm not sure if they've patched that or it stopped you from doing it, but make sure you see. In my case, my characters either Tinker or Atomic, so I call my characters Atomic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or Tinker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that way, you know, in my case, it just lets you put a number on a character. In my case, I know I have a camp over here, and this is Tinker 3's camp, right? I know I have Tinker 2's camp. So just kind of in your mind, I have a camp right by Fort Pricker, just above Fort Pricker. So I know that's Tinker 2. So I put in a number, or so if you just give it a name, it's kind of a little bit harder. I would give it a name and a number. You don't have to call it Atomic 1, 2, Atomic 1, Atomic 2, Atomic 3. You can do it like, I would do like Atomic. If you wanted to use different names, call it let's say Flatwoods 1, Wixton 2, the Vault 3, whatever. Just give it a name and a number, and that number will allow you to correlate to where it is in my mind. But again, it's up to you. If you just want to use names, maybe that's fine for you. I would give it a number. It just allows me, I know where certain numbers are built on the map. Just don't call it the same name, because it'll be very confusing if it's atomic, atomic, atomic. I think you still can do that. Just give it a different name, and then each one was different, does different things. So like I say, you can create different resources for different characters. Doing challenges is easier, because let's say there's a level up challenge. If you've got 5 characters, when you level up, you can do the challenge with any character. It's only 1 per character, so you can't do the same challenge on a different character. It'll apply to all characters. But let's say you have a level up and you're not close to that level up on your main character, but you are on your secondary character. Then go level up that second character, and you'll be able to easily get the 10 atoms for that day, right? So a lot of uses. I highly recommend you have 5 characters. You don't have to level them all up. You just play with them. Some people use different builds. One's a melee build, one's a heavy gunner build. So again, that's kind of the idea behind the characters. And then of course you can have 5 different camps, right? So if you like building and stuff like that, you can build different things, right? So here I have a bunch of water purifiers. This is a fairly old camp, but you get some nice new skins for the water purifiers. So look out for those in the Atom store. You'll find some people have some nice new green skins. So depending if you want to spend items on that. There's different water purifiers. Some are blue, some are clean looking. They're cleaner than these. These are the standard ones that come with the game. But yeah, each one of them, as you can see, I don't lock them. You can just run up here, collect some water. If you see people's water purifiers, you can just go up with them and grab some free purified water and be on your way type thing. Like I say, build some plants here. So build some vegetables. These are all useful for different reasons in the game. Like collecting blackberries, for instance, you can make juices, muti fruit, you can make juices and some challenges, and then corn, potatoes, you can make vegetable starch and adhesive. So you can create one of your characters to be a adhesive farm, because if you wear armor, and you're going to need a lot of adhesive to repair stuff. So yeah, so just build there. So you have a combination of crops and water or minerals, and then you got sleeping bags and beds, right? So this is the basic camp. It's got a rendering station here. It's got workbenches. Got fusion generators. In order to get this reactor generator, you can either buy it from Graham. He sells them now relative like 100 and 200 caps somewhere there, or you can do the power plant level ups. So if you hit a power plant like Poseidon, there is a quest, and each time you'll get a different plan. So you'll get the small generator, the large generator, the medium generator, and eventually the fusion generator. The quest is quite tedious and difficult, and it's very confusing to go inside the power plants. I would not recommend doing that initially, but you can get, if you find a team that's doing it, just join the team or the event. And if somebody's doing it for you, you can get those rewards if you're part of that event. So you just find some high levels that are doing it, and then join them in doing it, right? So yeah, you can build some stuff here. You got power armor station. Each one of these can scrap and craft stuff. You got a chem station. You got the Bev stations. Very easy to do the Bev quest line. I highly recommend do it. Once you do the Bev quest line, it's only like 10 steps or less. You can unlock those crafting stations, build them in your camp. All these different things are plans. I don't really buy a lot of stuff at the Atom shop. I do buy some stuff. Most of the stuff's default. You can get different skins. A lot of people want to use different Atomic shop. They do look nicer, so if you're into that, just go get them. A lot of these plans you can buy, like the bunk bed, you can buy them at White Springs Bunker, all around at vendors. People selling them all over, stuff, right? So what I recommend is build like a stove or a campfire. This is an atomic stove from the Atomic shop you can buy, or you can just build a regular standard one, and then build a bed that you can heal your health and sleep and get some benefits. So you get the well-tuned benefits. Sorry, you get the well-tuned if you play like a musical instrument like this guy, and you'll get benefits for like 2 hours. Let's do that. I'll show you that in a sec. If you sleep, you get the well-rested benefits, which gives you extra XP and stuff as well, like that. So, like if we play the banjo, You just have to do this every couple of hours. Oh, that one's not going to let me do it. I think it's too close to. Let's see if we can find another one. Yeah. That one's built too close to the wall, so I can't actually jump onto it, I think. Oh, I actually have to hold it down. There you go. They changed that recently where you actually have to hold it, which is good, so you don't try and sit down at tables and stuff. So you just play this for probably like 30 seconds or a minute, not as much as a minute. I think it's about 45 seconds maybe. And then you're going to get the well-tuned benefit. And then if you look under your stats tab, you will be able to see what the benefit is. So you only have to do this every couple hours and you'll get some extra XP or some benefit from doing well-rested and well-tuned. So sleep regularly, it keeps you healthy, and eat proper food. So there you go. I think I was even 30 seconds. So you're well tuned. So if we look at our tab now, our health tab, let me just jump back in here so I don't have to call that out again. Okay, so if we look at our stats, you'll notice we have well tuned for 59 minutes. I think the rest one lasts 2 hours. And you got an AP Gen, you get the benefit of AP Gen of plus 25, which allows you to run faster and if you're over encumbered and stuff, and to regen if you're fighting, if you're using boosts, if you're using jetpacks, things like that. So there you go. So you can do all sorts of chems and stuff. Actually, that's a good question. Let's look at the chem bench quick. Allows you to make all sorts of health items plus. Okay, so one thing I want to just quickly, so we'll cover drugs. So it allows you to make drugs and stuff like that. So you want to collect plans. Some of these plans are hard to get and they're really expensive now. They used to be cheap, but they've made them almost unreachable for low-level players. So you either have to find someone to give it to you, or you just have to save up. For instance, like the Stimpack plan, if we got a healing, to get the Stimpack plan, you have to do the Enclave quest line, which is fairly high level quest line, but then even once you get that, it's probably going to cost you around 1,000 caps just to buy this plan. Stimpack diluted and the red ray diluted you'll get early in the game through a quest line for free, but the Stimpaks and some of these other ones, antibiotics is fairly cheap. I think it's only 90 caps still. They left it low, but it does have a requirement. I don't think I've ever made antibiotics in all my gameplay. Blood packs, disease cures and stuff like that. Grenades, if you want to make grenades and stuff. I don't really do that myself. Ammo, just certain types of ammo is made via the chem bench. Tinker bench is the main one for ammo. But the one I wanted to show you is smelting. So when you collect iron ore or from either a workshop or resource, or you pick it off the ground out of one of those deposits, it'll put it here on your menu, and you would have to come in here. You need some acid, and you can actually smelt it. Same with fertilizer. If you get a lot of raw spoiled food, you can make fertilizer out of it. If you need fertilizer to plant crops and stuff, then you come here and you can actually turn this all into fertilizer. So those are kind of useful ultra scrap and stuff. Utility water filter, if you want to make vegetable starch, it's via your cooking station. Just go down to utility, you can make vegetable starch. You just need corn, fruit, purified water, and potatoes to do that. Okay. Tinker's Workbench, this is allow you to bulk in. Like I said, you can bulk stuff. Just be aware the bulking puts it on your body. So make sure you put it back. So if we go to bulking, it uses plastic to bulk. You're going to need plastic. Plastic's relatively not all over the place. If you're making gunshot shells, it uses plastic, and if you're doing some of the quests like cameras and stuff like that, it's going to use plastic. So just kind of be aware of that. You probably don't want to do it all the time, but it will save some stash. Like if we went and bulked leather, for instance. You should save some space. Now, don't be deceived. Let's go down here to bulk springs. Don't be deceived when you're making bulking. If you do bulking, you go look at your stash box and oh look, it saved me a whole bunch of space. But the only reason it saved you space is because it's now put it on your body. So if I look at my inventory on my body, you'll notice I now have taken it from my stash box and now it's on myself. So it's actually moved it out of your stash. So when you look at the stash, oh look, I've saved a whole bunch of space, but no, you really haven't. You just moved it from one to the other, right? So you just want to make sure you put that back, right? Or go sell it to a vendor. So most people will take it out of their stash bulk and then they'll sell it to the vendor, no big deal. But if you keep it on you and somebody kills you, you'll drop that bulk and you'll lose all that stuff, right? In terms of junk, just to cover that if I haven't already, under your junk tab, you'll notice, like I said, each one has different weights. You got combination weight 1.2 pounds. Each one has different weights. Once you scrap it, it'll become lighter, and then once you've scrapped it. So always go to, whenever you're picking up stuff, if you're scrapping weapons, all that, make sure you scrap them, and then you put them in your stash, right? So yeah, you got the Y key in my case, scrap all. Okay, I've then scrapped it. If I go look at those same things in my scrap, obviously the wrench is gone now. That's turned into steel, and you can see that it's much lighter. You can see all of these things weigh much less, and you can now actually put it into your stash and not overload your stash, right? Sometimes you will find that you have put stuff in your stash without scrapping it. So if you go to the junk tab, you'll notice if it doesn't say scrap in most parts, not everything will say scrap, like bone shards, for instance, won't say scrapped, even though that is scrapped. You typically don't really need to keep bone shards, they're quite heavy. And then you got the bulked items. I used to like to bulk stuff just because it puts it all in kind of alphabetical order, but some things can't be bulked. But yeah, you may find something in here that's not scrapped, you put in here by accident. Take it out, go scrap it, and then put it back into your stash. And that'll keep your stash nice and clean. For the stuff you don't want, you just go to, just like Fallout 4, you just go here, say drop it, and you drop it. Anything on you, if somebody kills you, you will lose, and you need to pick it up, and there's a little quest that starts once you drop stuff to go get it. If somebody hasn't stolen your junk, if you get killed by a regular enemy, as you can see, I've just dropped that, puts it into either a paper bag, or if you've got one of the atomic present things like I do, then you can it'll put it in a paper bag for you, a present paper for you. This is one of the items here, the Year of the Wasteland. It's kind of cool. There's a whole bunch of really cool atomic stuff that you can buy. Okay, so I think that's camp. So just pick a spot, build your camp, put a bed down. All the wall, you get wallpaper now and stuff. People have some really cool looking camps. This brick building you can buy relatively inexpensive. I think under 1,000. I think. The steel one, I think, is 1,800 caps if you got all the perks, the charisma perks, using great mentats. But it's going to cost you probably 1,800 caps to get the steel one. So it is quite expensive. A lot of stuff became very expensive because they made caps easier to get. So you can either go to the Reddit sub and you can buy stuff and trade stuff and sell stuff, or you do vendoring. So even though it's expensive, it's probably not really that expensive anymore, right? So. Plans, I've covered plans. Just make sure, when you pick up a plan, you can find them on all containers. Make sure once you have them, you read them, click on them. Once you click on them, it'll read it. Like in this case, I've got Rested PT. It weighs 0.25. If I click on it, it's now unlocked that plan, and now it doesn't weigh anything. So make sure you read your plans, plus you get the benefit of them being unlocked. If you've got extra plans, it'll put them up as known. Also, when you go to a vendor, it will also tell you that it's known, which means you've already bought that, so you don't buy plans that you already have unless you want to and sell them or something and make some money. Some plans are harder to get, like the Cuckoo Clock is only found on Graham, and it's hard to find Graham, or the Lemonade, so you'll probably find people will try, even though you can buy these for around 200 and 187 caps in my case, or 200 caps give or take, depending on your charisma level. The more charisma you get, the less it's going to cost you. There's also a perk to reduce your cost at shops, so it's another good perk. Like I said, before I get distracted, there is if you've got a plan, you can sell these plans. The harder ones, more expensive. The more common ones sell for less. Put them in your vendoring station at your thing, right? So, okay. yeah, I forgot I was gonna say that before I got distracted from the other one. But so read your plans, sell the extra ones, or keep them. If you have multiple characters like I do, then you might want to give those plans to other characters. Your all characters benefit from those plans, right? The problem is if you've only got one character, one device, it's harder to trade. Some people put things in a container. Never put it in a paper bag and jump server worlds and expect that paper bag to be there or available. Sometimes you'll come back and the paper bag's there, but you can't actually get anything out of it. It's just like a turning circle. If you are going to do that, it's very risky. Don't put high level weapons. Don't put anything in a container and jump server worlds expecting to get it back. You could lose it. So like something like a really cool legendary weapon, don't put it in there. I'd rather try and find a friend to trade it with and let them give it back to you. That's the safest way. If you do want to risk it, then put it in a container, not a paper bag, and then get someone's name on the friend, on somebody that's in the map, and then just rejoin that person's session, and then you can come back to that world, so you can try and get it out of the container. Right? Like I said, build the Santron in your camp as well. Initially, it's free in the item shop right now until I think the end of the year. You can only build one type of collection. Even the Santron is free. It does collect junk, and you can switch around. So once Christmas is done, they'll probably start making gifts, and then you can use just collect junk. If you have the other Protecton that people bought already, then you can only build one or the other, right? Vendors, I'll cover vendors very quickly. I did talk about it a little bit. Like I said, if you want if you want to see your camp on the map, you need to power it. I've unpowered mine now. I don't really do vendoring myself, but I've unpowered it now so people don't know my camp's here and they don't come raid my Santron. If you don't want people to raid your Santron, just put it in a room with no doors and people can't get to it, and the Santron can actually still walk around. But just in terms of the vendoring station, you can build it. There's free. It comes with a free standard skin. If you want some extra fancy skins like the Raider skin or different skins, you have to buy them from the item shop. But if you go to the shop here, basically you put anything that's in your stash box, you can assign to the vendoring station. This isn't my camp here, so I can't really show you in this specific one. In fact, why don't we go to my camp and I'll be able to cover that as well. So like I said, I have my camp in here in the bog, and the only reason for that is so I can fast travel. Oh, I was wondering why my carry weight. So I use excavator power armor. It has the highest amount of weight that you can carry, which is 475 now. So as you can see, my carry weight is 475, whereas most will be between 200 and 300. So I'm just going to head to my camp in the bog, and the reason I have it in the bog is so it's a fast travel point to the bog. I can get there without paying a lot of caps. Normally it will cost you 20-30 caps just to get to the bog from this location, or from any location on the map. It's quite expensive, and just having that strategically placed over the map allows me to do that. So I actually have a bunker in this location. You can't build bunkers anymore, they patched that, but this is one of my legacy bunkers. It's mostly trashed inside because unfortunately Scorched Beast, the poison gets through the walls and trashes everything. It's really unfortunate. So I don't really use it as often as I used to anymore, but I do have a whole camp inside there. But what I've done instead is I've built a bit of an outside area so people can come and use some crafting beds, workstations. Okay, looks like somebody probably raided my stuff here. Let me check it out here. Stole my presents. I may actually try to put, like I said, if you don't want people stealing your stuff, what you can do, let's see if we can, I'll do that in a sec here. I'll show you how to protect it. So yeah, so I have this little build area, and I have a vendor, like I say, so I don't have it powered at the moment, so people don't necessarily know it's here. But after the Christmas event, I'll power it up again, so people have access to that. But yeah, anything in your stash box, you'll see there's an assign button at the bottom. So we can go over here, and let's say I wanted to sell all my coal, for instance, right? You just hit X, it'll tell you the amount you want to sell. In this case, let's say let's want to sell all of it. You can pick a price. Coal's not really worth much. Nobody uses it, so you can do like 1 or 2 caps. No one will buy it, and then it'll actually have a little icon, so you know that one's actually for sale. And if you actually click on, if you see people's maps, if you hover over it, it'll tell you what they're selling. You've got 9 armor, 5 weapons, plans 19, so you know what they're kind of selling. In my case, it'll probably just say some ammo. People would really come there. I don't use vendoring, but I put it there so people know there is a crafting workstation. I try to keep these repaired as best I can. Crafted, so there's an armor workbench, there's a chem station here for extra additional chems, and there's a sleeping bag over there on the floor so people can rest if they wanted to. But this place does get trashed quite often, quite regularly, so I have to come when there's a nuke. The nuke drops and it will destroy my camp most of the time, so it's sometimes it takes a little bit to keep it repaired. And I've had it where some people where the gutsy somewhere. There it is. Like, he was inside my camp, I think. Oh, I'm about to get trashed, yeah. Yeah, he's probably gonna trash me. Get another weapon, yeah. So, as I said, drink purified water if you're trying to heal up. Purified water will do that, will allow you to heal up. If you have the different mutations, when you get to a certain level, as you can see my mutations, I have electrically charged, grounded, healing factor, marsupial, speed demon. When you get to level, you can get these right now, but if you use right away, you'll lose those. You have a potential using the archway to heal you right away, or use right away and you don't have the starch genes perk. You can actually lose those, but they're relatively inexpensive, so you just have to keep until you get to level 30, keep that in mind. Try not to use right away. I think you can use the archways without affecting your mutations. But yeah, once you actually get mutations at level 30, you want to get the starch genes level 2 as soon as possible. You need both levels, and the second level will stop you from losing that mutation, right? So yeah, so the healing factor is 1, so it helps you to heal. If you're not being attacked, marsupial helps you to jump and stuff like that. Electrically charge or attack enemies, things like that. So read up on there's 22 different mutations, I believe, and you can pretty much buy them for between 200 and 500 caps from vendors. 200 is the kind of regular price. 500 is a bit high. Some people try and sell it for 2,000. So I wouldn't buy them for as much as 2,000, right? But yeah, let me show you. I don't know if I'll be able to build it here, especially that I have a scorch piece on top of me. But if you want to protect your gifts from being stolen, then you can actually just build a room, put your protector on in that room, and then you'll still be able to get around, and you'll just have to remove the wall, or you can power the door. This guy's annoying. Okay, let me see. Probably not. I might have to server hop here, but anyway, let me see if I can build something here quick. Okay, I should be able to build if I got budget. Let's put a floor here. Floors can't be destroyed, so just kind of a note to that. If you put a floor here, they can't be destroyed, which is kind of neat. Okay, let's see if we can move the projectron. Oh, repair. So yeah, okay, let me see if I can move that back a little bit. Let's see if we can. Okay, let's see if we can put some walls around it here quick. And don't forget to put a roof on it. Okay, so now your Protectron is behind the wall. As you can see, he just walks straight through the wall to his unit. So now somebody can't actually steal my gifts. They can't destroy your camp or anything like that, so don't worry about that. That's the best way to protect your Protectron. Just put it into a four-walled room. In my case, I could, in theory, put it inside the bunker, but it's such a pain to get in there. Just put it there, create a little room. It just has to be a 1x1. And they can't actually steal the stuff. The only pain is when I come, I'm going to have to remove a wall and then go look for my loot, which is fine, because as you can see, I can't actually get to it. In this case, I would have to, which is not a big deal. You can just come here, and you come here, you say, I can just say store it. Okay, X to store. I can then check. Come out of build menu, I can check for my gifts, take whatever I got there, and then go back to build menu, go back to your stored menu, and just put the wall back on. There you go. That's all you need to do to protect your Sandtron. Otherwise, you'll have people like me showing up raiding your Sandtron. You can lock it to the back of the terminal. You can put a lock on it, LT, but people can pick the locks, and that's what I do, right? So. Okay, so I'm going to try and leave this area. Let me see what else I want to cover here. I think I've covered probably most what I want to cover. Let's see what else here. Oh, let me check. Okay, I just picked up some stuff. Let me see if I can put some stuff away. Otherwise, I might need to drop some stuff. Okay, I think my stash is probably pretty full. Okay, so I'm down to 463. So let me see if I can leave. So it's always free to travel to the vault. So that's why I say use that as a camp away from that. So there's a lot of mechanics in the game. There's a ton of mechanics. If you guys have any questions or want specific videos on specific stuff, like I said, I don't do build videos like stuff like that. But anything about the game, if you want to know more about a mechanic, cooking, or stuff like that, just let me know. Power armor is really easy to get in the game, and there's different power armors. Just the standard power armor. So some of the locations to find power armor quickly on the map is there's actually there's some raider power armor. So let's talk about a little bit about power armor. There's different levels. So you got T45, but you need to be level 25 to use it. I think XO1 starts at level 40, I think. So if you want XO1, you have to actually do the Enclave quest line, and you'll get plans, free plans to build it once you've done it from one of the terminals. Raider power armor starts at level 15, so that's if you want to be a power armor build, you want to get some Raider armor, so you can actually start with some Raider armor in the back of a truck, the back of one of those trailers at this workshop. There's one there. It also spawns. It spawns in many locations. There's one location up here. There's a location behind Pickett's Fort. There's a container there. There's a popular spot in the mountains here called Cliff Watch. So you can actually server hop, and it leaves some power armor there, level 15 typically. So that's the one where I used to get it. I don't know if it's been patched or you can still do it. I know it's a little bit harder to get than it used to be. So it's actually not a super high level area. I think there's a level 14 score, which, but yeah, if you want to get like some power armor, just go here, you get a bunch of fusion cores, you just keep server hopping until it's just sitting on the edge of the mountain. So normally what I do is I'll go and find the different pieces I want once I have a full suit, and then you know, you get a bunch of cores in the meantime. The other place to get some power armor straight off the bat at the vault is right here at Morgantown Train Yard. There's one in the back of a railway cart. Let me see if I can go then show you, and then I'll show you the second location. But there's a whole bunch of different spawn points for power armor. There's some in Poseidon Plant, which I don't recommend you go get. There's some in Grafton Bay. Someone made a video on the various locations, so just look for that video. There's one at Grafton Bay, which is right on the dam wall here. Where is it? Right here on the dam wall. There's a power armor spawn point. So you'll find them all over. It's going to be, you know, very easy to get. Once you get into the power armor chassis, it'll become yours. You can drop it. Well, don't drop it. You can get out of it and then pick it up. If you find some power armor that has pieces that are higher level than you, you can actually take those pieces off that power armor chassis. You can jump into the empty chassis, and you can jump out of the empty chassis. Just be careful you don't drop it, because once you drop it, it's not yours anymore. So make sure that you, whenever, I just always to be safe, because sometimes people lose their power armor without realizing they drop it versus just putting it down, right? So it's quite easy to drop. So like for instance, you know, if I jump out of my power armor here, so I hit A, and if you walk up to it, make sure that you can say collect, because that tells you it still belongs to you. If you drop it, it's going to not have the collect icon. You have to jump in and it becomes to you. So always, whenever I jump out of my power armor, I make sure I collect it, just in case, you know, I wasn't thinking. I'm in my menu here, and I go down and I hit the drop. You can see if you hit X to drop it, you will drop it. It no longer belongs to you. Someone can come out and steal it from you. And there's been a few very, very, very rare bugs. I think they're fixed now, where you know, you're at a workstation and the world's lagging. Some people can come actually steal your power armor. But I've only seen a few occurrences. It can happen. It does happen. People say it can't happen, but I think there's a very rare circumstance where it possibly can happen. So just kind of be aware of that, right? But yeah, once it's yours, then it's yours. Just put it back down, jump in, or pick it up if you're leaving it somewhere. But yeah, you can take, if the pieces are too high level, especially if you're a low level player, just jump into to take the pieces off, jump out of it, put those pieces back on. It will collect your power armor in 60 seconds, or if you fast travel, it'll actually collect that power armor for you, and I'll put it back in your inventory. And each one of those pieces weighs between 10 and 12 pounds. By putting it into your power chassis or your power armor chassis, you will save. So instead of it taking up, let's say you had two pieces, each weighs 10 pounds, plus the chassis weighs 10 pounds. That's 30 pounds. That's taking up space on your inventory, either in your stash or on your body. If you put those pieces in the chassis, it's only taking up 10 pounds. And if you have a full suit of armor, it could weigh, you know, separate pieces will weigh up to like, I guess 70 pounds instead of 10 pounds. So just make sure you put them back on. And then when you're ready to actually use it, if you're at the right level, let's say you want to use T45, you're level 25, then it'll allow you to actually get into the power armor with the pieces in it, right? So, and power armor lasts very long. There are some perks, just to talk about power armor perks and weapon perks a little bit. There's a couple of perks that you want to get eventually. One is called Weapon Artisan. This allows you to repair your power armor. I would suggest getting that, getting up to level 3 ASAP. Because that'll allow you to get the maximum repair benefit, and your gun to last longer. and it'll also give you, more importantly, it'll give you, if you have it at additional repair, it'll actually give you extra strength or extra damage on that weapon. So it's not just it'll last longer, but it'll actually give you some extra damage. So if you're repairing it at a low level, then it will. So if I look at some of my weapons, yeah. If I look at, you'll notice, let me see if I can find one. Yeah, you'll notice if you look at the CND there, you can see that I've got extra length and repair, but it gives you extra damage. You'll notice that. So get the weapon arsenal up to level 3 as soon as possible. It's very useful, and you don't have to have it loaded all the time. And then the other one is fix it good. So when you're repairing power armor, then you want to have the ability to repair it beyond the normal things that will last long. And power armor pretty much lasts quite a long time, right? So let's see if we can go find some power armor quickly. I'll show you a couple things. I wish I could spawn close to this location. I'll show you where that is, but that's okay. We can come back to that workshop. Okay, but let's head to the Morgantown train yard. So right off the bat, you should be able to find some power armor, and even if it's empty, it gives you 10 plus strength. So it's useful to start running around power armor early in the game, even though it has some damage resistance, which is useful to have, and plus it has gives us that extra carry weight, so it allows you to carry more by just running around in an empty chassis. So I would initially, as a new player, do that as well, right? Just run around in an empty chassis until you at the right level, right? Okay, so I'm going to probably end the video. I'll show you where to get some power armor chassis, and I'll run over to the workshop, and I will show you where that one chassis is in the back of the trailer. Okay, like I said, you're not going to find it in every server. Someone's gone and already grabbed it, but I'll show you where to go. So we are here at the Morgantown train yard. There's a bunch of levels scored here. Should be low levels, so it should be fairly easy to handle. If you're doing the quest missions, it's going to bring you here. There's a bunch of stuff like stashes that'll send you to go find. But anyway, if we run into here, you can actually just from the gate, just the gate there, the easiest way to get to that chassis is just kind of run around the back here. Lots of loot in this place, a lot of cap stashes, boxes. Just run into this trailer at the back, and you will find an empty chassis and a fusion core in this case. And like I say, the T60 will be too high level for you. I think the T60 is probably level 45, level 35, somewhere there. If you right click on it, it's a level 40 in this case. So just take it out, put it on your body, jump in the chassis, jump out, and then you can claim that chassis. So I used to collect a bunch of chassis. You don't really need a lot, but I have one. Now that you can rename them. I have like one for T45, one for T60. I collect each one, right? Okay, so that's one location to find a chassis, and then the second location in this area is if you run here towards Morgantown. You're going to see some enemies along the way, yeah, so you should be familiar with it anyway. So just run along the road, yeah, and we're going to head down. I'll show you where to find the other chassis. Now this one's a little bit less, it spawns a little bit less. There's a lot more booby traps at this location, so just kind of be aware of that. There's a grenade right at the door. There's also a fusion reactor generator, yeah. Can grab a free core. Sometimes you'll find free cores. Now the way fusion cores work, you used to be able to get full fusion cores or fully full, and sometimes you do, very rare though, but they reduced that you only get like a quarter of a fusion core. They want you to take a workshop and to get them that way, to get the 100% workshop. So if you run through this door, there's a bunch of booby traps, and you can certainly do that. But if you want to play it a little bit safer, there's still some booby traps here. There's some boards you have to jump over. If you go up this ladder at the top, the windows booby trap, there's a grenade there, I think, that goes off. But come here, you'll notice there's a board. You kind of have to jump over it, or just try and just walk over it and get poked. But you'll notice there you go, you got a grenade there, right there, right. There's another power armor station, so you will find some T-45 here from time to time if it hasn't taken, and some chassis and stuff. Some bunch of loot and stuff, right. There is also a workbench in this location. So you'll need to scrap in Morgantown. This is probably where you will need to do it there, right. So okay, that's it for the stream. I think I covered a lot. If you have anything else you want to cover specifically, I can do another stream, talk about it. But yeah, that should be helpful in general. Making food, cooking, building camps. The deposit map, if you go to Reddit and you just search for map deposit to the Fallout 76 Reddit sub, just do search for map deposit. It'll show you that map and deposit, the guy that made it, and you can decide where to place your camp. If you want to build on deposit. Resource harvesters are for free if you're near a deposit. They'll only show up if you're near a deposit. If you're not near a deposit, it won't show up on the resource tab. If you're near a deposit, it'll allow you to build a harvester for free at your camp. And of course, at workshops, you can build them for free, but just be aware that there's PvP and someone might take the shop and shoot you for your caps, right? So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, hit the like and let me know. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I do appreciate all the subscribers and the input and the followers of the channel. It helps grow the channel, and it helps me keep incentivized to make more videos as well. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Actually, there was one thing I wanted to show you before I left, and that was to actually do a challenge. So let me show you one of my other camps. So yeah, there's maybe a couple things I can still show you just before I leave. So let's actually leave the world, and I'll show you my characters, and they're at various levels, but I'll just kind of show you the naming of my characters. So when I first started this character, I called it Tinker just because I only had this Xbox and that, but I kind of regretted it because I can't rename that character to Atomic. But anyway, my second characters, I know Tinker's my main first character, and then my second character I did 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So that's how I name my characters. So I know in this case 4 is by top of the world, 2 is in the mountains near the at the top. You'll see it where I am in the mountains. 3 is in the bog, and 5 is in Flatwoods at the moment, but I might actually move that one somewhere else. But anyway, in my mind, I just know where the various ones are. So in this case, I wanted to select 2, and then I'm going to hit play, and then I'll put you at that camp, right? And there's a challenge where I need to craft some alcohol, and I'll just show you doing that challenge. So this location is my farm location. So I built it specifically to do the Bev quest line. I have a lot of razor grain and corn specifically. I have some potatoes and some other fruit, but it's mostly my corn farm. And I built it to be like a farm. It's in the mountains away. I get very few visitors. It's in a spot that not too many people come to. I've had more visitors now that I've turned the vendor on and show people it's there, but generally very few people find the spots. It's not at a specific depository or water resource, but it is by a little cavern. So some spots that aren't on the map you can build, and I don't have water resources specifically, but I have a whole bunch of stuff here. I've raided this place, but normally there's a bunch of plates and plastic, ammo, there's wood right here in the camp. Plus there's actually 2 Sometimes there's 1 to 2 stash boxes right here over here. There's one right here. Okay, so like I say, if you have the level 3, you guarantee to get caps, level 3 of the cap collector. So I got 20 caps there, and without any cap card, you won't be able to collect anything. But because I got level 3, I'm guaranteed to get caps. So it'll be kind of a way. So there you go, 40 caps, but not by just having that per card loaded, right? Okay, so this is my cap. I'll just give you a quick top view here. It's easier to see all my crops from the top. I do have a couple of water purifiers. Unfortunately, I patched the fireplace trick where you could put water purifiers away from being destroyed. But anyway, so here's my camp. As you can see, a bunch of Nutri-Foods, a whole bunch of corn, a whole bunch of razor grain. And so when I used to do the bev stuff, I used to come here and I used to build stuff. Okay, let me see if I got any gifts here. Nope. And this is the other one where we could actually plant potatoes on decks and stuff, but again, they've patched that, so you can't do that as well. That had to do with the campfire place. Anyway, so we are going to do the challenge. If you do look at my channel, I primarily show people how to do challenges and where to find stuff and things like that. So search my channel for specific challenges. I don't really do the really simple ones, but other ones that I feel that people might struggle with, I will do. So I have loads of videos on those. But in this case, we are going to do the craft alcohol, just to kind of show you that. You know, we've got to create, again, you're going to have to do the bev quest line. Very simple to do, very easy to do, there's a low level. There's probably like 10 steps, and you'll be able to build this at your camp. Or someone can build it for you. They just probably can't build the fermenter, I think. Or maybe they can, I don't know. But yeah, you might as well just do the quest line and do some of the bev quests. They're really fun. It's kind of a very fun quest line anyway. So in order to get the 10 atoms, we have to build some, we have to craft some alcohol. In order for me to do that, I will generally make some, go pick some corn. Let me see if I might even have some here. I don't have to waste it. So I need 10 corn. I've only got 1 corn there, and I need some razor grain, and I'm going to need some water and stuff. I'll go right there. Okay. So let's just go. Make sure you have a green thumb, then you'll get an extra 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we should have 10 corn. So 11, and then we need 20 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I should have 20 razor corns. So beer is the cheapest thing to buy for that one. Sometimes you will have to create 15 different types of alcohol. You're going to have to do the whole bev line quite a few times to get all the recipes, or you can buy the recipes, but you're going to need at least 15 recipes. But you can also get the alcohol from someone. I think it's just drinking it, so you can actually go buy them from White Springs or from vendors, or you can ask people to make it for you as well if you don't have all the recipes. Anyway, so this is the cheapest way. So we're going to go to our bev station. We're going to craft some beers here. You're going to need, like I said, boiled water, wood. We should be okay. So 1. Yeah, I'll talk about in order for them to show up, you want to actually select them in your challenges. So there you go, challenge completed. by simply having some razor grain, which you can get from anyone's camp probably, if you don't want to grow your own, or you can oh, I don't think that's the one I want. I left it somewhere. Did I leave it somewhere? It might be that one. Oh, it's that one there. Yeah, just went in there. So that's as simple as doing a quick and easy challenge. Just simply quick, you just need, in that case, you needed to do the Bev quest line in order to complete that challenge, but I just want to show you to do a challenge there. The actual fermenter only works in your camp, so you can't use someone else's fermenter. It is linked to your stash box, so anything you put in there will use space in your stash box, and of course, in terms of camps and stuff, it'll use some of your budget. So if your budget's full, or you don't have room in your stash box, it's not going to allow you to put anything on fermenter, and there's a challenge to ferment stuff. And it's as quickly as transferring stuff, as long as you have room in your fermenter. Once it's fermented, just take it out, and your food perks will be able to reduce that weight on you. So it's better to carry food on you versus leaving it in your stash, right? So in this case, I probably have some beer here. So if I got a beer, so it's like 10 weight in my stash box, which isn't terrible. But if we look at it on me, it should technically be less because of my food perks that I have on me, right? So there you go, 0.1 compared to 0.10. So it's 10 times or 9 times less weight, and of course the perk for that is the true hiker, right? So I recommend getting that straight off the bat, right? So anyway, there you go. Like I said, I'm just show you where this camp is. It's in the mountains, away from everything. Let me actually, what I'd like to do, and just till the Christmas event is over, I'm going to remove my power, so people don't know I'm here, so they're not raiding if I'm playing with this character. As you can see, I'm now not on the map anymore, so people don't show up to raid my Centrons, right? So either lock them up, put them away. In this location, I don't really care about because I rarely get any visitors up here. But if you are a vendor and you're selling stuff, you're going to either need to lock it up, put it in a room, or just risk somebody will be there to steal it, right? So there you go. Thanks for watching.